Hey, what's up, man? What's going on? Sportdev, our main man Mike. Welcome back, bro.
I'm at your service, sir.
Um, yes, sir. Yeah, brought to you again, Ara Baobab fruit powder. In the midst of this pandemic, you want to get something that keeps your immune system strong, keeps your gut healthy, and is packed with vitamin C. Get yours from Arewa, baobab.com. That's AREWABAOBAB.com. So, AFCON. This is our second breakdown. We've kind of gone through Um, we've gone through the preliminaries, second round, quarterfinals, and today we finished up the semifinals. Um, and we're going into the finals this weekend, right?
Indeed.
What are your thoughts so far? Who's been
So
your
if you want to, I think we talked about the AFCON right when it started, and we haven't
yeah,
really had any follow up since then. And I just want to give if I were to give my overview of the entire tournament, I'll say tournament started out like this. The group stages, it's kind of being shown now to be just a matter of qualification to the next round. It's almost a mere
yeah,
formality for the big teams. Um, the little teams, the quality of those little teams is very low. Um, the standard of play is not very good, and it makes for games that are not really worth of high quality and technicality. However, the effort is there, and that's what you want to see in the tournament, the fighting spirit. There are a lot of things that maybe are going against these players, but one would say, since you are from the African continent, you should be able to adapt to these climatic situations of heat, which is kind of a big
hmm
problem in this tournament, especially for the North African teams. Teams like Algeria complained about the heat was just way too much. I think they had games that were played at 30 degrees Celsius. You know, the pitches they have been okay. They haven't
Yo,
been great.
let me jump in for a second. These North African teams, man, they get on my nerves. You're complaining about the heat was 30 degrees, but if you win, we don't hear that complaint. If you win, that's not even a point you bring up. You
I understand.
when Tunisia beat us, I'm sure they won't complain about the heat, right? But
Not
you know what I'm
small.
saying?
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
But anyways,
You lose, and all of a sudden the heat's an issue. It's 30-degree weather. Yeah,
I
go ahead,
mean,
man.
it is what it is. Algeria, if one could excuse them, they just finished winning the Cup of Nations a few years ago and won the Arab Cup, which is probably a lesser tournament. Still, good confidence in them. They've shown good pedigree, so one can excuse them for not showing up, so to speak. Sort of circumstances, man. Clearly, one of the things we're seeing in the tournament is the big teams came in and weren't all gelled. They took their time to cook into the tournament. They simmered and just built up. When you look at the teams in the semifinals, I look at them and I say those actually were the best teams in the tournament. And you know what I'm saying? It almost, of course, maybe you could swap Burkina Faso for Morocco, but I wouldn't underrate Burkina Faso at all. They're a pretty decent team, and then on their day they can be in the semifinals of the African Cup of Nations, and they made it this year. But having said all that, when you look at the group stages, for the most part, the teams that you should expect to go through will go through, except for one or two surprises like the Black Stars of Ghana, which were just in shambles. They didn't do well against anybody, so it's no surprise they lost to Comoros, which made Comoros look really good on their debut. So that's pretty cool. The tournament to me didn't really start till I'll say the round of 16. It was like the round of 16 was like how the tournament used to be in the past, whereas like good quality teams of evenly matched strength in the middle of the pack. Maybe one or two teams that are just slightly above average and better than the rest. And then there's about four teams or three or four teams that they're picking up the rare. They're trying to catch on to the African game. Those teams used to be like teams like Kenya. When Kenya came to the African Cup of Nations, we knew what it was. They were getting 3 goals from us, maybe 2 from Egypt, or even 4. you know, Countries like that. But now those countries like of that ilk now are in that they're the teams that are making it to the second round. And so when you
Yeah,
look at it, that's when you start seeing uh the just kind of the wheat separating from the chaff. And But when you get to the quarterfinals, you can see the step up in quality of the tournament. To me, this tournament didn't really begin to cook until the quarterfinals hit. That's when you started seeing good quality attacking football that actually where there's a pattern to their play. More intensity in the play. Perhaps the teams are now sensing that, there's a prize at the end of the tunnel. But yet, it's kind of something that we have to admit. The quality has not been the greatest, but from the quarterfinals on, there's hardly been a match, say 1 or 2 dull 0-0 drives. Even those matches usually were exciting games, but it was full of intensity and good attacking football.
Yeah. What do you think about all the red cards in the knockout stage? Between the second round and the quarterfinals, there were 7 red cards.
So when I was talking about the things of the complaints that were being made, including the the heat, when you went on the diatribe about North African teams complaining, and they do that really well.
Did you see? Wait, sidebar. Did you see the Egypt game today? Did you see? They were complaining about the ref. You saw Salah going off on the ref, and I'm looking like, what the hell? Like, dude, you would never do this in Europe.
So, just as an aside, so
you know what I'm saying? Like,
referees is one of the things that were the biggest complaints, and Egypt has been one of the biggest complainers of the referees. Even before the match, the referee, I think Gassama from where is he from? Gambia. That's where he's from. He's actually one of the top refs in Africa, right?
I thought he was a good ref. I thought he was good today. I thought
he did a job today. But the Egyptians complained. They lodged a complaint to CAF when they announced him as the referee because they said he doesn't favor them in matches either in the international or the continental level, the club level. The Egyptian teams seem to always get back calls from him, even when Egypt plays as a national team. So they filed a complaint to remove him as a ref. Can you imagine that? So
that's crazy. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And it spilled over. And in fact, that was very unprofessional by the coach. For him to get sent off, I mean, it just
Carlos Quiroz.
It shows a lot of respect. And one thing I didn't like was when Abubakar went and just kind of told him, like, come on, man, calm down and show some dignity.
Yeah, show some respect. And they kicked him off the field. And then at the end of the game, you see Salah, which I've never seen him do, just act out of character. Because I watch a boatload of Liverpool games, and he's always like extremely well behaved. But this time he walks up to the ref and like he's covering his mouth and talking and like he's going off, and you can see him. I'm like, what the hell is this?
So that's part of the North African tactics, man. They're very good at this, intimidating the referee.
They try to intimidate the referee, correct?
They exaggerate fouls. And they're better at it than the rest of the continent. So that's why Egypt played a boring brand of football, but it was very tactical. And they understand how to play it. It's easier to play like that when you have, you pick most of your players from the local league. And those local leagues are actually well-run leagues, and they dominate on the continent and the continental competition.
They were on teams. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is not just like today. It's been going on from time memorial. Those Egyptian teams, the Al Aklis, the Zamaleks, and even all the other new ones on the side.
Pharaohs, all those guys. Yeah.
Look, let me units, and they just pick those players from there and put them in a national team. So they're a unit, man. They're organized.
Yeah, listen, their unit, they're organized, absolutely. I looked up their roster actually today, and you're right. Outside of Mohamed El Neni, Trezeguet, Salah, and maybe one other guy that plays in Switzerland, the rest all play in Egypt. And it was interesting because what they do, they beat Ivory Coast, then they beat Morocco, and now they've beaten Cameroon. 3 strong teams going into the finals. And what they've done in two or three of those games is they frustrated the teams they've played with and forced it into penalties, which is a kind of coin toss, really.
Right.
And just ridden their luck out. They're not a good team.
They're playing like the Italians used to play back in the day. Those Italian teams, they're like, how the hell are they in the finals competing for the World Championship?
Correct. They've been lucky. Let's be honest. Penalties really comes down to. I mean, if you look at the Cote d'Ivoire game, Eric Bailly took a penalty and missed. That was the difference. Eric Bailly
Yeah,
should
but it's
not be
more than
taking.
that.
Eric
Like,
Bailly should. You and I know Eric Bailly should not be taking penalties.
besides that,
You and I know how many
the
shots. How many
Ivory
shots
Coast
has
had their
he?
chances, and even if they Ivory Coast didn't deserve to win that match. They didn't do anything.
They didn't finish. It's the
Right.
finishing that killed me. Cameroon too.
And that's part
Cameroon
of it.
to today.
And that's
They
part
didn't
of it.
finish. They created chances.
When
I
you
was
have a
watching.
team, you have to assess from top to bottom. Okay, finishing is part of the team. If you can't finish, then you're not good enough to advance. You know, and I mean, you look at, and you know, one of the things you heard me complain about a lot is ball striking. If you look at it, it's like, I just look at these players, man. I was just looking at Cameroon. They're just awkward when they move with the ball. It's just not natural. They're just physical, trying to just out physical everybody. And like it's brainless football. And they create chances, but just with today, especially at Camby, he had one chance where he just panicked. Where if he just collected the ball instead of like just trying to like snatch at it, you know. But our ball from our strikers is kind of not very good, man.
That's a fundamental skill. That's what I'm saying. Technical skill when it comes down to some. I've talked to people who are like football experts in Europe, and they've said with some of those teams there, they're like, when you play African teams, just don't let them inside the box. Yeah, their shooting is poor, so they're not going to be able to really just keep him outside the box. Right. They'll try shots, but it's going to go way wide. It's going to just go straight at the keeper. Yeah.
Right. Oh, straight at. Oh man, that's the first part. Straight at.
So I mean, some people have literally said that it's a technical skill. It's a skill. It's almost like I liken it to if you're a guard or a certain forward in NBA and your shooting percentage is just piss poor. What happens when you get the ball?
They just back off you.
Yeah, they give you room.
Let
his ass shoot.
That's what he did with Westbrook now.
Yeah, let his ass shoot.
It's that, man. They just leave Westbrook alone. He just can't hit him.
He's not gonna hit it. Let him shoot. That's what I'm saying. That's
in your head.
Yeah. So when you watch, and shooting is a fundamental part of the game. You can't play street ball and walk every goal into the net.
No.
You see what I'm saying? If you watch Egypt right today, every time Trezeguet got some space,
he's trying to bend
he hit it.
He was trying to bend it.
Yeah, same thing with Salah. Salah would have, they would give him the ball, he would have 2 touches, and boom, right at goal. Because they knew, and that's what Tunisia did with us.
Yep.
They created no chances. They didn't dominate anything. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. They got one opportunity where we gave him room, and the guy took the shot on goal, and he went in, and that was the end of the game. So you know, it's you're right. You look at the game, and you're like, guys, you need to sharpen. And here's the crazy thing about it. I looked up that Cameroonian roster today. Every single one of them play for clubs that you'd be impressed by. Majority of them in France.
Yep. There's a Marseille guy on there. Yeah, they got guys. I mean, it's Cameroon, man. Of course.
Anguissa, the guy we like, he plays at Napoli with. He plays at Napoli with Osimhen.
He's been the difference for Napoli early on until Victor got hurt. Anguissa, so he's the buy of the season.
He's a beast, man. But he's a midfielder, right? But still, I've seen midfielders that are good that strike the ball extremely well. Like it's not an excuse.
He's not a good ball striker.
Yeah, he's a fantastic.
So Heyman and Didi are the same. They have the same problem. They're very good at covering those spaces in the set, but the distribution is not the greatest, and their touch is just awkward. And then when they strike the ball, it's just belying a professional. Quite frankly,
that's what I'm saying.
Who am I to speak? I'm not a professional, so I know it's hard. But it just seems hard. That's fundamentally you got to have in your kit to make it. And that's what, to me, that's what makes Ndidi short of world class is that ability to create an offense and strike. If he just works on his ball striking, put a little power, a little direction, and a little accuracy behind the striking. First of all, contact, just the right type of contact with the right part of your foot, he'll be world class.
And look, it's a skill, man. Like you got to teach it, and you need to spend hours and hours and hours and hours of practicing it, and that's how you get good. And you're right. You watch these games and you realize, and that's why a guy from what what game was it where he just got the ball? Was it Gabon? He just
Oh,
got the ball
no, no, I
close,
forget the game where
close to.
hey, give him credit,
Yeah.
man.
I was like,
Game?
dude, come
I know
on,
they
man.
lost.
You
It
and
was
I
one of those,
know
it might have been Malawi. It's just one of those countries like that.
Malawi. That was it. Yeah, you and I know that guy. You take him to the field right now. 9 times out of 10, no pressure. He
Look,
doesn't make that shot.
hey,
Yeah,
look,
so
but he made it when it mattered, and that's
he
what mattered.
did. He did. And you
Oh,
know
yeah,
what?
it was a good goal, man. It's gonna
It
go
was,
down as one of the goals of the tournament.
it was. And look, if they had some organization about them, they would have won that game, right?
Who did they
But
play
you could
against
just
again? I don't even remember which match that was. I just
Morocco,
know.
man.
Oh
The
yeah, but
Morocco, the
there's
Morocco
no way.
right
There's
back.
no way they were gonna hold up.
Yeah.
Malawi, yeah. That goal gave enough people happiness for one day in Malawi. So
Yeah,
they have
man.
to that. But
Listen,
realistically,
even after they lost that game, they'd have said, "Well, you know what? That goal was good. We're good.
right,
We're
right.
good."
I
But
mean,
but
look,
but
they'll be showing that on the Malawian sports networks for the next decade or so until somebody else does something better. At least
and you
till
know what?
next AFCON. Let me not disrespect them like that.
But you know what? Since this is sports development series, you know what's unfortunate about that?
But
That they have to have that the bar so low, right? Because they have the naturally gifted athletes.
well, it's a numbers game,
I'm
man.
talking about a Malawi right now, right? We
Right.
know in terms of physicality, they have the athletes, but taking it from that point to putting young athletes through their paces and teaching them the skill based, that's where everything falls through, and then tactical based, everything falls through there. And that's why you see guys like that guy that scored that goal, he plays in South Africa.
Okay.
you know
That's not
um
bad.
no, it's not bad. And I mean, a lot of these guys get signed to teams based on physicality and pace. you know I was watching Cameroon today. Look, the first touch on a lot of players on that team was fantastic.
Oh
They,
yeah, like trapping the ball
yeah,
in the end.
like you would see crossfield passes, and this guy would take it in stride, one touch, bam, and you would see all that stuff. So I was like, these guys are good,
The
but
only
once
thing
they
is,
get into the final
it's
third,
yeah, they
it
just
wasn't
blow
happening.
it. The decision making not very good.
Correct.
They just look awkward, you know. But and you were right. You actually mentioned earlier that they haven't really been tested by anybody, and this was their
I
first.
mean, this is really their first test. If you think about it, they hadn't really been tested. I thought, if Burkina Faso had Egypt's organization at the back, they would have beat them that first game because they scored. Cameroon came out, left themselves open. They almost scored again not too long after, and then they just go crazy. They went crazy at the back. They started giving
Yeah.
up openings, and then they gave up 2 penalties. Cameroon scored both penalties. That's how they won the game. So when you look
Anyways,
at it,
you
you
know,
know,
yeah, I understand. It is. I mean, but a tournament is like that, man. It's 7 games to win, so it's like a league. Just because you win your first game doesn't mean you're world champion. It's because you lose your first game, you're not gonna
no.
make it, right? So sometimes teams aren't quite ready. Especially with the way the tournament is. A lot of these guys are coming from holidays in their leagues into camp. They haven't really, or they're coming straight out of playing in so they haven't even blended. And so you saw a lot of disorganization early on, of boring football early on, because teams just hadn't blended by then. So the
Yeah,
teams that
yeah.
really blended well together in this tournament, they've actually blossomed to come out here. And I'm looking at Senegal versus
Egypt.
Egypt in the finals, and I would say I'm rooting for Senegal, being West African team. They haven't won it before. The selfishness in me is saying don't let Egypt get too far ahead of Nigeria, because if they win an eighth, it becomes almost impossible to catch them in our lifetime
Yeah.
anyway. But yeah. So what do you think about the matchup, man? How do you see it going
I
next?
think, here's the thing, right? I think it's a good matchup. I looked at who they played. Senegal had the easier road to the final. When you look at the teams they beat, Cape Verde, Equatorial Guinea. But what I saw from Senegal against Equatorial Guinea was a different team that I saw in the preliminaries, that I saw in the second round. What they did was they took it to another gear. They were playing with more intensity. They were faster. These guys were getting after it.
They look like worthy champions if they win it.
Yeah, they were not messing around. If you look at the
same thing they did in the second half against Burkina Faso too.
Correct.
When they got the ball, when the second half started, they said, "Okay, it's time." So
it's time.
If you look at the caliber of players they have, and I was watching that game against the Burkina Faso. Everyone always looks at their offensive players, but that Kalidou Koulibaly, that guy's a rock. Oh my goodness,
he's been a monster.
He just blundered for Burkina Faso like it's like there was nothing. It's gonna be hard.
No,
when you have a rock line and you in the middle, they have Ghana Gay. Kalidou Gay plays at PSG, and you have Mane. There's enough said. That's Sadio Mane. And then you have Idrissa Sarr coming from the bench.
They have a team. They got good players. Look, and when you watch them, if that game against Burkina Faso, outside of the goal, Burkina Faso didn't really do anything. They neutralized them. They took the ball from them when they wanted. They did exactly what they wanted to do. So it was, and the way they stepped up their game to another level, that's what got me. Because I've been watching them all tournament. I was like, they kind of took their time in earlier games. They didn't really stress themselves. It was funny because you were watching them, like, these guys aren't really putting in the effort, but they were winning games, right? So you're like, okay, they got into the knockout stages. And you saw a different team.
Yeah,
like, these Senegalese guys just took it.
And Mane in particular, he's been on fire at least the last 2 games in particular. But he basically has been the one that we're chilling. All right, we need to go. Okay, Mane, step up. That's what he's doing literally, right? So I think he's got like 4 goals in the tournament right now.
Yeah. He's gonna give. Listen, let me tell you this now. He's going to give that Egyptian defense a lot of problems. He's going to give them, and Salah's going to give them problems too. But the thing about Salah has really been neutralized. You watch all the games.
No, not what neutralized. Yes, in terms of on ball, but what he does off the ball is so important for Egypt. He drags players away, man.
Defenders, they chase him. They have to follow him.
And their counterattack, there's a counterattack possibility. So you always have somebody there holding back.
With him, yeah.
Right. So you notice the Cameroon fullbacks today weren't really as joyful going forward because somebody had to stay back and monitor and make sure they kept an eye, double team Mohamed Salah. Because if you let him get off, there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
And like we talk about striking the ball, he's good at striking the ball. If you give that sucker space, he will bury it. And he makes fantastic runs off the ball. Like when you watch him, boom, he's gone. He's made a quick run, and his guys look for him. That's the difference, right? They play as a team, but they know they're looking for Salah. They're looking for Trezeguet when they go forward. They know it. They don't try to. There's no complications in what they do. It's pretty simple when you watch them. And then going back defensively, they fight as hell for the ball. They try to make sure you don't beat them on one-on-one matches. And
the left back is really good, man. That guy is impenetrable. Usually Cameroon, they've been Moraden down the right side on every team I've seen him play in this tournament. And left back he just said, "You shall not pass." Because what was that guy? Is it what's his name? The midfielder kind of plays like a wing back for Cameroon, but him and the right back, and the right fullback always bomb down that right side, put crosses in. That's how Babouakar scored 6 goals in a tournament, and Kambi has scored 4, maybe even 5, because a lot of knockdowns, and they're just there to pick up the scraps, But Egypt did not allow that to happen today. Anyways, I'm hoping Senegal gets them, but I know Egypt can be professional enough to take this to penalties again.
And they could surprise us and not even take it to penalties. They could just catch Senegal on the counter, catch him again on the counter, game over, right? That's
Right,
that's how they play. They don't come out at you. They look for you to make a mistake. That's how they play. So I think, but Senegal, the thing about Senegal, watching that team, that's a professional, organized unit, man. These aren't guys who, this is not Equatorial Guinea or Gabon. They're not just going to run around and give you a lot of space to. They know what they're doing. Let me put it that way. So, for me, I'm picking Senegal. I think they have a lot of quality. I think they could do it. I think they're organized. They have the experience all over that pitch. But we'll see. Because last World Cup they lost in the final too, right? I mean, last AFCON, yeah.
But the stats say no team has ever not won the AFCON and been to 3 finals and lost.
Correct. So it was the same team, same coach. This is a hungry team.
7 years.
Yeah, man. This is a hungry team. So, all right, let's shift to our beloved Super Eagles. Do you think firing Raw was a mistake?
No, I mean, I think we talked about this last time. He had to go.
But let me rephrase that.
We all knew that. And
do you think Raw would have maybe been able to grind out the victories needed with the experience?
Look. When we have Nigeria and you're saying we're playing Guinea-Bissau, what is this? It shouldn't even be a question. When you say we're playing against who was the other minnow with Sudan, it shouldn't even be a question. The only match in that entire group that anyone would have asked questions would have been the match against Egypt. Yeah. And really, if Raw were there, we would have come out the non-aggressor in that game. And that's the thing that I never could stand with Raw. Oh, we're playing against Cape Verde and we're coming out non-aggressors. Like, we are the Super Eagles. If you look at the caliber of players we have compared to the caliber of players these other teams that we come out against and act like we shouldn't be aggressive, that mentality is eroded. So I was tired of seeing that. So I'm not going to go back. That decision has been made. Now the timing of it, horrible. It's not because it didn't set the team up for success long term. And we saw that in the haphazard way. Guys weren't called up. Maybe the wrong person was called up instead of Dessers. We called somebody else up that wasn't really gonna Onyekuru, that wasn't really gonna do anything for us.
But when would have been a better time though to fire? If it wasn't at this point in time, right before AFCON.
We documented this before. I think Roar should have been fired after the World Cup in 2018. Okay, granted that didn't happen. Okay, so I mean that right there, when we came back, we should have told them thank you, goodbye. Thanks for the work. You did well. You really did well. But the sentiments allowed him to stay on. After that, I would say, after we drew 4-4 over Sierra Leone, I probably would have really considered firing him after that too. Then, especially after we lost, the only reason why we couldn't fire him after we lost to Central African Republic is because we had matches coming up but really that 4-4 with Sierra Leone and some comments that he's made over time, he should have been gone.
Did you hear the comments he made after we lost to Tunisia?
I don't know which one. He seemed to be in the news a lot.
He made a comment that we lost to a weakened Tunisia team, and he wouldn't have played this player here. He wouldn't have done that. And he did an interview with a German newspaper. I was just like dude,
he can say anything he wants.
That's classless. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you know what? Fine. They fired you. You didn't like it. We lost to Tunisia. And let's be honest, okay? I know there were things we could have done better. We got a red card in that game. Tunisia had one shot really on goal, and they scored. And we almost scored. If Sadiq Umar had some kind of ability to finish a freaking goal, right? He equalizes with 10 men. You and I know it.
Well, what are they saying? What's that saying? If we're fifth, we'll all be drunk. Well, the simple fact that Sadiq Umar was the one out there that we had to trot out there to score instead of a guy like maybe Dessers, or administrative situations didn't allow and Emmanuel Dennis to be present at the African. So look, the nail in the coffin is applied at a certain point, but the genesis of all of that starts from a long time ago. So if you look at it as the preparation to it, on the surface of things, when you look at the preparation, how you hire a coach 3 weeks before a tournament, you don't have any real preparation friendly matches. Most of your squad comes in much later than when camp opened, maybe about less than a week before the tournament is about to start. You would not expect that such a team would progress and do well. So in the overall picture, if you look at just the end product, you're like, this is exactly where you would expect a team that had that kind of shoddy proper preparation to end up at. Now, we've seen so many times where all of a sudden they overcome such obstacles and prevail and do well, or maybe even win the tournament, type close enough to win the tournament. However, when you look at it from a microcosm point of view, I actually think the tournament went well for Nigeria. From my perspective, really, we were never going to win this tournament. If you look at this tournament, and if you've been honest with yourself, we're not one of the 3 best teams in this tournament. There's just the teams that are going to finish 1, 2, 3. If you look at Cameroon right now, say I would rate them above us in just maturity. Can we beat them on our day? Of course. But from maturity level, those are the kind of teams right now our boys seem to struggle against. Teams are physical and can grind it out against us. Our boys don't seem as tough right now. That's one thing I noticed. But I don't think we're at this point with Egypt. If we played Egypt again, do you really think who would you favor in that matchup, Egypt or us?
I'll favor us.
Okay.
Because of how we beat them.
Right.
I thought we dominated them in an embarrassing way. Listen, and if we didn't show them the respect we were showing them, that game should have been 3-0.
Right.
All due respect. And if we're beating them 3-0, I don't think they get this far. I think the confidence disaster just it just takes their heart. Because I was watching that game and we had so many opportunities, but dude, Taiwo was playing his very first game for Nigeria. Those jitters were there. You could see it.
Not his first game, but first in the tournament. Second start.
Yeah. If that was Osimhen,
bro. Yeah. So that's the one thing you say is like we're gonna get some good players coming back. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm talking about in this tournament though. That team that
in this tournament. Because look, I still put the Tunisia game in context, right? And I look at it for what it is. Like, we lost, yes, but when I look at it, I'm like, we just lost, and then we got a red card when we're really trying to fight. But honestly, Tunisia didn't do anything in that game. It reminded me. You know what it reminded me of? I'm a Chelsea fan, so it reminded me of those Chelsea games we play when we go to Burnley and we lose. And we dominate the whole game, but Burnley gets one corner kick and they score with a header. And then we spend the rest of the game fighting. And next thing we get a red card in the second half and Burnley beats us 1-0. That's what it reminded me of. That's exactly what it reminded me of. So I look at it and I'm like, but I think we need some work done on the team to improve certain things, to make us sharper in front of goal, like more ruthless. Like there were 2 chances Sadiq Umar missed in that second half. I'm not even going to talk about the chances he missed against, was it Guinea-Bissau? But there were 2 chances he missed in the second half. I was like, dude, you need to go work on your finishing, man. You cannot be a forward playing like this. You know what I mean? Like,
there's levels that we've said, right? He played in Division 2 for a reason, man. And people always seem to over-glorify our players, and a lot of our players are just average. And it hurts to hear it, but it's the truth. We don't really have any world-class players except for Victor Osimhen. That's it. Apart from Victor Osimhen, the rest of the guys are just kind of average. Maybe of course, Ndidi is above average, but he's not world-class. Osimhen is not world class yet, but he's the one that will say is on the trajectory where he looks like he could be. But
if anyone's going to talk about Nigeria's danger man, they're talking about Osimhen. No question about that. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. So we got Ghana coming up in the in the World Cup qualifier. How are you seeing Ghanaians are like trying to get all hands on deck? You heard they I know they got a Hudson Odoi. There's somebody else that they picked up that wanted, is it Frimpong, I think, from Southampton?
They did not get Hudson Odoi.
Oh, Hudson Odoi already promises allegiances to Ghana. He might be playing this game.
You serious?
That's what I read. I'm just look, they're trying to cover us though. And the first leg is in Ghana, and they're already playing games. They try to move the stadium to Kumasi, and CAF didn't allow them to do it because it wasn't approved stadium. So
they're already preparing. I want to know what the hell Pinnick and his boys are doing. That's what I want to know. Because I know I heard Pissarro put some clauses in his contract that they can't agree with, so that deal has fallen through. He's not.
Okay, good. I'd rather keep Eguavon, honestly. I say
yeah. So it's going to be Eguavon, but my fear is, since it's Eguavon, are they going to give him everything he needs to be successful? That's my fear. Yeah, and are they going to pay? Are they going to pay him what he should be getting? What the money you were meant to give Pissarro? How about you try to create a package similar to that, and pay Eguavon? How about that?
Well, they already said his job is he's a technical director, so he's not getting paid anything more than the technical director pay.
So you see what I'm saying? Like these jokers, man. And here's the thing that frustrates me is this man might actually beat Ghana and take us to the World Cup. And you know what they're going to try and do?
They're going to try to bring somebody else to come coach us on the World Cup. Nah,
that's the bullshit. That's the bullshit they do, man.
We're not.
They did it with Lars Lagerback. Remember that clown that they brought in? See, that's the nonsense they do. Right before the World Cup, they'll try to terminate him and bring someone else in. And see, but here's the thing. I think if we prepare, if we identify who our squad is going to be, if we're ready, Ghana's not ready. I could tell you that right now. I could tell you that if we put our squad together based on what happened in this World Cup and we show up, Ghana ain't ready, man. They're not ready for what's coming. We might beat them in Kumasi and in Abuja. You see what I'm saying?
I do like that we're playing in Abuja. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And that stadium is
that stadium has always been it always had a good feel.
Yeah.
Decent enough feel.
Yeah, but I think, honestly, I swear to you, I think it comes down to how we prepare. Give this man everything he needs to get that team ready. Let him pick his squad. I love the way Zaidu was playing. I think all I know is a threat. My only problem is when he goes up forward, there's a liability in that space he leaves behind, and then coming back is not as strong. Indeed, he's a monster. Aribo played fantastic. Osimhen is going to be back. Ehenacho, Ajala, Moses Simon. Then it's up to them whether they want to play Iwobi or what's his name? Chukwueze. Chukwueze. But I know this. I know we are a better team than the Black Stars. I know the Black Stars have a hangover from losing to the likes of Comoros, not really doing. They lost to Comoros. However you want to swing it.
This is when they'll be at their the most angry and alert now. I mean, look at the So you imagine that they understand that they're at their lowest, and we've look. I'm not underrating anybody. I've learned. If you haven't learned your lesson by now, then you haven't been paying attention. First of all, one thing you know for sure, the Ghanaians are going to fight with the very last ounce of sweat and blood because it's against Nigeria. That's number one. And the question now is, will our guys be willing to match that fight? Because in the first leg being over there in Ghana, if you don't match that fight, you can come out of there with a pasting or a result that you don't really understand. So you have to be able to match. And I hope our boys are ready to understand this is not your average matchup. And it's for all the marbles at this point, pretty much.
It's for everything. It's for the marbles. It's for World Cup. It's for bragging rights. It's for pride. it's for the Nigerians that live in Ghana. Look, let me tell you something, man. If it was Pissarro coaching that team, I'll be concerned because he doesn't understand the context.
He won't.
There's no way he can understand the importance. But it's Eguavon. It's Yobo on that bench. It's those people. They know how important this game is for those kids that grew up in Jand or wherever that grew up playing, they're going to help them understand just how important it is to play at 110% in this game. They're going to let them know. And
Yeah.
Ghana, you're right, they have a hangover. So there's some lack of confidence there. And I think that's what we can exploit. We're more confident than they are. There's lack of confidence there with them. So I think, like, if we go in that game and boom, we score 1-0, they crumble. I promise you that. They'll crumble. Because their mindset is not there. But I do know this, when they play us, they might be ranked number 99 in FIFA. But when they play us, they bring out everything. Like, they're going to compete. And it's gonna be a good fight in that midfield with Thomas Partey, in DD Aribo. It's gonna be a really good fight. And I hope my prayer and hope, shoot, is next month.
Yeah, but it's the end of next month, so that's like the end of March.
Yeah. I just hope that we're healthy.
Yeah, that's a big thing, right? Guys like Osimhen need to play. Really, majority of our spine needs to be healthy. Now, what do you think about our goalkeeper? What's your feelings about
Maduka?
Right now? Yes,
I like him, man. I think he didn't expect that shot, man. I think he didn't think that guy was going to let the ball rip from that distance. So he reacted. It actually hit his arm and bounced off and went in. That's what I'm saying. Tunisia was they got lucky, man. But it hit his arm, bounced off and went in. And you could tell that he was like, damn. It's one of those things. Yeah, yeah. You
swerved too. That ball
yeah.
swerved on him.
The ball swerved. I mean, I think he's a really good goalie. He made all the right decisions. He didn't get tested, though, if you think about it. Even in the
That was his only test. I mean, he came up with some saves in that game, but the damage was already done at that point.
He did.
The damage. He got that goal, and a lot of people were already not really sold on him. But I'm okay with him because
I like him. I like the kid,
man.
I think
the reason why he's young, he's on a trajectory. When you look at his moves, I'll say that's one of the good things that Roar has left with us. This guy blossoms if we allow him to, man. He's young. Goalkeepers don't get seasoned until they're in their 30s anyway. So if this guy's getting all this experience now, it'll only bode well for the future as long as he keeps playing with us.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's going to be really good. This was his first tournament. Wasn't that his first game for Nigeria? Like this tournament played his first couple of games for Nigeria, right? He hadn't kept for Maduka. Had he kept for us before?
No, he was the keeper through almost all through our qualifiers.
Okay. Yeah. He's good though. I mean, he's a good one.
He's okay. He does let in, like, it seems like he lets in an inordinate amount of goals for shots, though. Shots on goal. There's always, there's been enough where it's like, dude, what are you doing, man? You shouldn't be getting beat by that shot, And then he was in goal when it was 4-4 against Sierra Leone. So that's like a stain on you as just. So all
but that's more in the defense.
One mistake in that game. I would say.
But you know what? The shoes he has to fill are pretty large in Vincent Yema. Now, Vincent Yema, that was a monster, man. So I think he'll come into his own. I think he's a good goalie.
Yema at 23 wasn't the Yema we know later on. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Real, not football age, real 23. Yema wasn't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't that. So he was making mistakes too. Goalkeepers have to season. In fact, the mistakes, you have to just live with it if you know this is a good goalie. But the thing is, most young goalies at that level pull out stops that save the team. If you remember, he's made that save against Mo Salah.
Yeah, he did. Good save too.
Yeah. Okay, but you don't really remember too many times where Maduka has had to that was a great save. He pulled that out to save us from that situation. Shots that should score do score. A good goalie, will stop something that should be a goal.
I would say let's give the kid some time and see, because who do we have a better goalie right now?
I don't believe we do. I think other people do Francis Uzoho. Uzoho. Yeah, I don't know. Is he better? The other thing I would say, I think in Africa, maybe he understands it a little better in the African terrain, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think our goalies are average. I think it's a weak link on the team.
It's the funny thing with goalies. I mean, you saw the game today. Anana goal keeps for Ajax. Didn't save a penalty. That goal keeps in Egypt.
Yeah, but penalties, you can't really use that.
I'm just saying though, but they coach you on that
No,
stuff, right? You make the right
he
decision.
gave up 3 goals because the other
Yeah.
fucking teammates missed 3 penalties. That has nothing to do with Onana.
No,
The
but
goalie is
every
expected maybe to
time,
take one of the
every time,
penalties.
yeah, every time he made the wrong decision, right? But I'm just saying, like, when you, in terms of he went the wrong way, and in Ajax, you know, of course, I know he's been coached extremely well on penalties, how to read the player, how to make the right decision, how to do all that stuff. So a lot of times, and the reason why I bring that up is because you can't use that to judge him, right? You could just
I'm not
say, yeah.
use that at
So
all.
you know, the goalies, it's a funny thing, man. It's really hard to determine. You know, you just have to look, and over time, you can make an assessment of a goalie. Um, I do know Senegal has the best goalie in AFCON.
One of the best in the world. So
Yeah, one of the best in the
best
world.
in
So
he's
yeah,
a mountain in there.
he's a beast, man. So I mean, but you know, the Ghana game is huge. The kid that plays for Crystal Palace, Olise,
Mm-hmm.
I like that guy, man. I swear. I don't know if he's made his pledge for Nigeria.
We invited him once. It was kind of odd that we invited him, but you know, didn't play
I know
him.
Iberichi Eze. He's gone on my nerves. He said he's waiting on England. You know, I mean, look at what they did to Tammy Abraham.
You know, but that's not how the kid sees it, man. I can't really blame him too much, but you know, it is what it is. I'd rather you tell me where your allegiance lies early. Let's know. I
but you know,
the side eye to those who come back later after they can't get into the main team.
Yeah.
And okay, now I want to play for you guys. I'm like,
just like what's his name? What's that guy's name? He's played for Newcastle. Came back at the very 23rd hour, play for Nigeria.
Oh, Shalom Amiobi,
yeah. So I mean, but you know what? Here's the thing is, I mean, we talked about Egypt and how almost the entire squad was local. Can you imagine if we could put out a squad where we had like maybe Ndidi and Osimhen were the only foreign players? Everyone else played in Nigeria.
We're losing the game. Guinea-Bissau and Sudan.
But check this out. Imagine if we could put out that squad, and that squad could be good enough to take us to the finals of AFCON.
You're that's trying to circa 1988 and 1990. That's
but you know what? That's how you know you've arrived. If we could do that, let's say we had all these international foreign players, you know, all the Ejukes and Chukwuezes and Iwobi, and we're like, the coach, like, you know what? I'm not even inviting any of these guys. I'm going to make sure my guys here spend some time together. We go in and we get past the first round, second round, quarterfinals, and we only have 2 guys that play in Europe. That's how you know that your football has arrived. You know what I'm saying? Or you go to a World Cup and you have 6 guys on your squad who play locally.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The problem is those guys that are local players, the moment they play with the Super Eagles, they'll be no longer local players.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to buy them up, right?
That's how it just goes, man. It's like, you know, you want first of all, our local league is in shambles right now. It's in no position to really produce players that will be capable of doing that at this particular. They hardly play. It's always disjointed. They could do much better, man. And the league would be much better.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective for you, like, you know, the National League is division 2nd tier, right? Which is like the 2nd division after NPFL. And I remember I was talking to a player there once, and I said to him, I was like, "Oh man, how your games going?" He's like, "Man," he said, "Bros, them canceled the last 2 games." I said,
"This is recently."
Yeah, recently, like last year. I said, "How many games you guys have?" This had nothing to even do with COVID. I said, "How many games do you guys have in the season?" He said 8. I said, "League?" He said, "Yeah."
Wow.
I said, "But you also play, you know, the Nigerian version of FA Cup," and he's like, "Yeah, but you know, league, that's it." Can you imagine? Dude, youth players in Europe play at least 30 games a season.
All right. It's a sad tale, man. It's sad. It's kind of
You
sad.
know,
But
so this is your second tier professional guys. This is the league where you're meant to have your guys who have just decided to go professional. They're meant to be playing in this league, the 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds.
all right.
You
Even
know, so
17-year-olds,
yeah.
right? Let
It,
them
it
get cut their teeth in the lower leagues, play, but be playing. You
yeah,
know, it's sad, man.
yeah.
It's a sad reflection of the way things are, honestly.
And to be honest with you, that is the responsibility of the federation. Let's be honest, man. I'll call it what it is. That's the responsibility of the federation to ensure that you have consistent leagues across the board for a lot of players, to ensure that your coaches are operating at a certain standard. So just not, just you just can't have some crazy Joe wake up from the streets one day and say, yo, I'm a coach. No, you have to go through a certain standard, and we know who's coaching players out across the country. That's the kind of way you develop stuff, and then you have a situation where every player that's being developed, he's getting taught some serious stuff, and then
Right.
you see what happens. You just watch, you see what happens, but then you you don't see them focusing on that, man. I mean, they do things here and there to make things better, but as a whole, nah. As a whole, and I'm saying this from talking to so-called academies, talking to amateur clubs, talking to clubs that play in the National League, MPFL, players I've dealt with who play on those levels. Like, I have intimate information what's going on. You play in the MPFL, these guys go months without getting paid.
Of course,
With
that's
some
not a
team.
surprise.
There's a player I deal with right now. He just left one club to another club. The other club still owes him over 1 million naira.
He may
He,
never see that.
he may never. What's he gonna do? He can't take him to. What's he gonna do? He can't take him to court. And that's the thing, though. You have to make that environment better, but it's difficult. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's difficult because most of these clubs are owned by state
Government.
governments, and the state governments, you and I know, they're all powerful. So you can't really hold them accountable, unless you kind of promote more private ownership of clubs, and that, because like we talk about Egypt, all the clubs we talked about, Zamalek, Al Ali, Pharaohs, all this club, they're all privately owned.
Right. So that's the thing. If we can get to the point where we're legislating, where new league forms, it should never not be owned by. You can't join unless you're owned by individuals. No
Exactly.
governments can own it.
Yeah.
And that's when we'll see the blossoming of, or at least it'll allow it to really develop naturally.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I
But
mean, bruh, but yo, this weekend, AFCON football coming to a close. Next year, Cote d'Ivoire, les éléphants. Yo, I know what we're supposed to try and go to this one, but yo, we gotta try to make that Cote d'Ivoire, man.
well, if that's in the books, then that's what we're gonna do.
No, but at least, you know what? I want to go at least just check out a few games. I don't know what the environment is like. Is there even an environment? Did you hear anything about
I mean, I
whether
would say the AFCON is tainted a bit because of the deaths of those, fans in the
it,
stadium. So I don't know if there's a celebratory
it,
mood. I think, and one of the, I wouldn't quite say it's my feeling, but a lot of the feeling is let's get this over with. But I don't feel that way at all. I think, like I said, from the quarterfinals on, this tournament has been outstanding to me.
yeah,
Even the refereeing has gotten much better as the stages have gotten higher and higher and higher, because there were some atrocious refereeing decisions. I'll say up to the round of 16 that you were seeing,
yeah,
like you were saying about the red cards. It just seemed like they were taking it overboard, and even VAR wasn't helping the situation. It seemed like so. I was always wondering what was going on, but uh, yesterday's refs and the semifinal refs, they looked like they were on point. With Gasama and I forget the other gentleman's name from Ethiopia, who I think, from
yeah,
what I heard, he's getting rave reviews on social media of how well he refereed that match between Senegal and Burkina Faso. So again,
yeah.
if you ask me, I think 24 is too many. I think we could shave 8 out of that and just keep it a 16-team tournament. I think that would make it the strike the fairest balance for quality. But I understand why we have 24. We're trying to give those other countries a chance to punch in the face.
Develop, man.
I
A
just
chance
don't
to
know
develop. Yeah.
if I would like to see if this development is real. Is it really development, or is it just those bottom feeders are all gonna eat replacing each other every time, and the quality will remain the same? Because that's what it seems.
If you notice though, beating those teams was more difficult in this tournament.
Yeah, because we're
Like
playing them early.
The Cape Verdes, even
Cape
when they
Verde,
did
no, they're
lose.
not in the bottom. No. Cape
Okay,
Verde is in
okay.
the top 16. I put them in the top 16 of Africa.
Equatorial Guinea, you know, they
Yeah.
did show some Gabon.
But
I mean,
I'm not
look at
talking about
Gambia.
those
Look at
teams.
Gambia. Yeah.
I'm not talking about Gabon is not in the bottom. The bottom feeders. I'm talking about the Malawi.
So hey,
the
they scored
Guinea-Bissau.
that goal, man. Stop it, man. They scored
Come on,
that
man.
great goal.
Those guys, do they really need to develop on the AFCON stage? Like Jesus. I'm not okay. Comoros, they bucked the
Comoros
trend.
beat Ghana, man. They beat Ghana.
Ghana suck this year anyway, but Comoros pretty good because they actually had.
Comoros, you know, check this out. Comoros beats Ghana, and we're gonna go into a battle with Ghana qualifying for the World Cup. Ain't that something? But Comoros beat Ghana, man. They beat Ghana.
Yeah, and they scored a wonderful goal in the round of 16 against Cameroon.
Yeah.
So, you know, but
remember,
see, imagine a tournament where Comoros makes it to the next round on the verge of one win. That's not even right. Even Tunisia probably should not have been in the next round of 16 based on how they perform. So I've always never really liked that third best. I hate that stuff. Like, no, if you can't finish in top 2 in your group, you don't deserve to qualify for the next round. All right.
Yeah, but you know what though, it's you're right in the sense that yes, it's one thing to give them this room to just participate, but it's another thing you gotta have a strategy. Like, what does CAF plan on doing to make sure that these guys have a higher level of football? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not enough to just say, okay, well,
like they did well in getting, you know, they didn't lose to Algeria, and did they win it? But Jesus, man, like. I didn't see that.
Yo, yeah. Hey, you remember we lost to Madagascar? You remember that?
Yeah, but see, but they didn't even make it to the AFCON. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. The bottom feeders are just replacing each other because one day they're luckily this good, but what are they really doing? Like, Madagascar should be here. That would be the real progress. Even the Malawi that we're making fun of, I think this is the second one and at least the last, either back to back or the last 2.
Yeah. They're better than those other guys. I think what it is you're right. It's the inconsistency, and even with us, a lot of times I'll sit back and be like we're not really good, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I would have to just tell myself the truth because I'm like, we're not consistent, right? The good teams are consistent. But the frustrating thing about it, did you watch any of the European games recently that they played?
No, I didn't see any European games. I just saw South America.
You saw South America. Yeah. Even in Europe, teams struggled like these days. Like Germany, it's not like they're blowing everyone out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
Well, Germany has had a rough patch since they won the World
Cup
in decline, and they've had some very bad results. But I mean, the big teams still win. England still drubs these teams. Belgium route. I mean, look, no. Germany is one exception. All the other teams are getting the job done for the most part. When they play against these teams, they put goals up. It may not be fluid football because, again, it's difficult to establish that rhythm in a couple of days of camp when you guys are gone for like a couple months, come back in less than a week. You got to play. It's different. So you're not expecting them to be in full gear. Well, you watch that Brazil versus Paraguay game on earlier this week.
That was a hell of a performance by Brazil. You're right. You were right.
It was suffocating from Brazil. They just had the ball the whole time. They were just taking shots after shots and creating chances after chances. The touch is immaculate. The passes are just accurate. You know, it's the right speed. It's just we have a long way to go, bro.
Those guys were good. And put it to you like this: when you watch them, the way they played, the way they took the ball from the midfield all the way and created a chance, decided how they were going to go about it, crossed it in, the runs they were making. Like, yo, it was so fluid. It was
Vinicius Jr., he's coming into his own. Look,
Oh,
they're
Vinicius.
revitalizing. Coutinho looked good. I was like, wow,
Coutinho. He
okay, so
scored.
he's
Coutinho
reviving.
scored
He
in that
scored
game.
early.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, on the right, Rafinha, that guy, man, he's coming. He's coming out. He's
Yeah,
about.
they have a
He's
conveyor
not
belt of
staying at
talent.
Leeds for much longer.
No, no. Those, see, Brazil, like you look at that team and you're like, okay, all the guys you typically knew of weren't even there. Like these were all bunch of new guys, and it's just they didn't miss a beat, right? Nope.
No, Casemiro didn't even play. You know,
Yeah,
so
they're
yeah,
they're
Fabinho played
they're
in this position, and what's his name played too? Danny Alves. So I'm like,
yeah.
man, this guy can just not retire from anything.
Yeah, Gabriel De Jesus came
37,
off the
38,
bench. De Jesus came off the bench in that game.
right?
You see what I'm saying? Like, and that just goes to show you the level they're at. Like, you're playing for Man City and you're coming off the bench for Brazil. Imagine if a Nigerian player was a starter for Man City. you know, it'd be like he owns the world. So it's just it shows the difference in levels, development, where they are. Those guys, they really do a good job of what they do. So, but it is what it is, man. I think for us, it's March now. We'll enjoy this weekend. Hopefully Senegal pulls it off. But definitely the game against Ghana is that's the
Paramount.
big that's the big one, bro.
Yeah,
That's the big one.
paramount. So we'll get it done. Hopefully, if not, we'll lick our wounds and we consider what the next moves are. But I think one of the good things about losing to Tunisia is our heads are not that big. Sometimes we struggle with when people praise us too well and say everything's looking good. This is usually when we usually
The
collapse.
the, the, the president is calling them. Yeah,
Uh,
all that bullshit, man.
anyways, man.
That's what. Yeah. But my man, thanks for coming on. Hey, we'll do this again.
Indeed.
Gotta keep talking about our Super Eagles, but it's fun. All right. Thank you. Love you guys. Sports Dev. See you later. Bye.
Peace.